What is up, friends? It's me, your boy Eric, and welcome back to yet another photography video in my channel. And if you're new here, I do my 370Z, most of the time when I have the parts, but right now I don't, so I'm waiting. So yeah, I do photography content. So if you haven't seen my take on how to get started in photography in 2022, ow, my eyes, why do they burn? I'll leave a link in the description, or you can follow this link, boop, right there. But wait, let's finish this video first. Okay, so Exposure Trifecta, what is it? Why does it matter? Why do you care? Why is it important? Is it only for photography or does it carry over to videography? We'll see. I'll try to make this video as easy and concise to digest because I'm not really willing to go into deep on this one because I'm not a scientist. I don't know if things work. Magic, that's how they work. Exposure Trifecta is basically the term used to describe three basic settings in your camera that helps to get the right exposure for your photo, which consists of ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. So basically going manual, and if you haven't started taking photos in manual, it's okay. You can start now. Don't be scared. So basically, going manual, your camera won't do the math for you to get the right exposure. You have to do it by yourself. But you literally have the creative freedom on how you want this photo to look like. Isn't that crazy? Freedom. Like, why do we drive manual cars? Well, because it's fun. This one is the same, going manual. It's fun, but it's a little stressful, but it's okay. Let's start with the easiest to understand, I think. ISO. Is it an acronym? Yes, it's actually International Organization for Standardization, which doesn't make any sense. But in photography, ISO refers to the camera's sensitivity to light. It's identified as, 100, 200, 300, 400, 600, 800. Having a low ISO number, which is 100, basically, it's not as sensitive to light versus 800. But here's the catch though. The higher the ISO number, the more noise, more grain you introduce to your photo, because ISO is basically amplifying your camera's data to compensate on, what light's coming in. To think about it, it's kind of like when you're listening to music at your dingy laptop and you just crank up the volume. And then it just kind of sounds like crap, it's peaking, it's a little distorted because your speakers can't keep up. It's basically like that. So I suggest looking online on what's the best and highest ISO your camera can handle, and then work your way below that. I normally start at 100 and then work my way up to 800, and if I'm desperate enough, I work between 800 and, the highest rated ISO my camera can do, without introducing a lot of grain or noise. Remember, you can add grain during post, but you can't remove them. Well, yeah, you can with, paid third-party apps, but still. Next is shutter speed, which is self-explanatory. It's the speed of your camera taking a photo in a fraction of a second or seconds. In some cases, they're identified in fractions: 1/50th of a second, 1/80th of a second, 1/125, 1/50th of a second, and so on. The higher the denominator number, the faster the shutter speed will be, the more crisp your photo will be, but it'll appear darker because you're only letting that amount of light in that fraction of a second. So in contrary, the slower it would be, the more light you're introducing because it's taking slower photos. So for photography, I personally start at 1/50th just because I move a lot and I have a little jitter, so I want to make sure that the subject is crisp. But if I'm, purposely adding motion blur into the photo, I go 1/30th. For videography, that's different. You got to start paying attention to your frames per second, or your FPS. So there's this thing called 180-degree rule. So basically you take the number of your FPS and you double that, and that would be your shutter speed. So for example, 24 frames per second, double that's 48. But there's no such thing as 1/48th of a second. The closest thing is 1/50th, so you use 1/50th shutter speed. Make sense? Moving on. Lastly, aperture. This one's a little technical. Like I said in the previous video, some people refer to f-stops. It's basically how large do you want the paper hole in your lens to let the light in. You know, it's identified in f/1.4 or f/1.8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 22. So the lower the f-stop number, the faster and larger your aperture is going to be. That means you're introducing a lot of light to your photo, and you're also getting more shallow depth of field. In the contrary, the higher the f-stop number will be, for example, f/22, that means your lens is at its lowest and smallest aperture, so it's just going to be this much. So that means there's not a whole lot of light coming in because it's this much of a hole. But what you get is, a deep depth of field. That means everything is focused. So how does this all come together? Well, it all depends on the type of photography you're trying to do, right? What I would suggest is you should start with 2 constant settings. For me, it's ISO and shutter speed. I mean, obviously this comes to practice. I mean, you have to think about 3 things to take a photo. Like, you should pick your battle, practice as much as you can. I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell you this. 75% of my life taking photos, I've been just using priority modes, auto, kind of embarrassing. And I just literally started doing straight manual when I started to do this as an actual business. I started doing manual in 2020. So I'm letting you know, it's not too late. There's time. Don't be scared. Do manual. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you got something from it. I hope it was educational for you. I hope you like it. And if you do, leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and then the bell so you get notified when I'm going to be releasing new videos. If you like, photography stuff, if you like 370Z, check my channel out. It's pretty cool. I do a lot of DIYs, a lot of vlogs, and here and there. And you can follow me on Instagram at its.ericvenzon. And if you're interested on my professional stuff, you can go at vndrdog.media. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Take it easy, folks. When I post this video, I'm in Seattle. So check out my Instagram. It's gonna be fun stuff. No, I'm just going for a concert in Seattle, seeing My Chemical Romance for the first time, and I hope it's not the last time. I really love My Chemical Romance. It's been like 2 decades. No, that's a lie. 1.5 decades, I think. But yeah, I'll see you. Goodbye.